Looking for an epic charter fishing experience that goes beyond the boat? Want to add in world-class food, festivals, or even football? Come explore everything Louisiana has to offer with a charter fishing trip led by one of Louisiana's top captains. From inshore redfish and speckled trout to offshore tuna and red snapper, from saltwater swordfish to freshwater sac-a-lait. With fishing destinations less than 45 minutes from the airport, Louisiana has something spectacular to offer every fisherman. Go catching with Louisiana's best captains today by planning your next adventure at louisianacharterfishing.com. That's louisianacharterfishing.com.
This episode is brought to you by Boat Trader, America's largest boating marketplace. Whether you're buying, selling, or upgrading, the Boat Trader app makes it easy. With the biggest selection of new and used boats from dealers and private sellers. Browse, compare, and even apply for financing. All in one place. Download the Boat Trader app and start your search today.
Hey guys, this is Melissa Bachman. Are you ready to stop spooking deer before it's even time to hunt them? Then you need the new Flex S Dark cellular trail camera from SpyPoint. With a no-glow flash option, long-lasting solar power, and a ton of settings that can be changed anytime through the SpyPoint app, there are no more excuses for letting your deer get wise before the season even starts. So check it out for yourself and see why the SpyPoint Flex S Dark is the unstoppable and undetectable scouting tool you need for your next hunt.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast, brought to you by Huntworth. Huntworth gear for all types of weather, all types of terrain, all types of budgets. It's clothing that just works. Check them out at huntworthgear.com. And speaking of Huntworth, they absolutely hooked us up for the Patreon hunt. Tons of gear for the guys showing up there. So, you know, we usually do stuff for guys who've come the furthest, first time guys there. Big Shot Targets is sending us one of their doe targets for the largest doe, and I just got the packing list from Latitude, and they sent us a bunch of amazing stuff. So really awesome. Looking forward to that. That's coming up here pretty quickly, and that's kind of been on my mind, but we are right now on the eve of the Michigan bow opener. So for all you guys who are just tuning into this on the way to the stand tomorrow, this is going to be a great day. Good luck to all of you. And for you guys that are coming out of the woods or listening to this in the stand, this is a fun one. Byron is a great dude. We're kind of talking about, you know, his journey going from, you know, compound, what he's doing as far as like chasing big bucks, to going back to like what we're doing at the Patreon hunt, like hanging out with your friends, enjoying the hunt, enjoying the camaraderie, enjoying the act of being out there, all of that stuff. So fun, relevant podcast on this opener of the Michigan bow hunting season. Big things to come. Really, really excited for this season. Can't wait to see how it plays out. We do have on the Facebook page, Bowhunter Chronicles Opportunist, that harvest log, and it looks like Eric Redders uploaded a firearm kill, so he killed another doe. And Tim Gray, so out in North Carolina, one of our Patreons, very well known to us as the Clear Cut Killer. He has been trying adamantly to kill something with his trad bow for the last couple of years, and it's been very close, lots of close calls, lots of heartbreak, and he put down a doe the other night, barely got into a stand, and was able to drop one within sight, and couldn't be happier for him. So congratulations, Tim Gray, and just awesome. And I just about forgot, Austin from Genesis 3D, he's going to be up at the Patreon hunt. He's working on some new products. Go to the Bowhunter Chronicles Opportunist page. Check that out. He's kind of got a poll going on about one of the new products that he's got coming out. He's going to bring some of those up to the Patreon hunt. to kind of get to beta test. He lets us break stuff before he brings it out to the masses. So really appreciate him doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, real excited again for this season. Shout out to the Kanadi and Zinger guys over there. Great dudes as well. Give those guys some love. And that's all for this intro. As always, thanks for listening. Enjoy the episode. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast. We're sitting down here today with Mr. Byron Horton. And I would say it's, Mr. Whitetail experience, but he's like Mr. Deer Hunter experience. He's Mr. Content creator, media director extraordinaire. So how's that shift been for you?
Yeah, I don't know what my official title is over there, working with Kevin here pretty heavily over the last, let's call it 18 months. But, yeah, we've been working on a few projects and doing a lot of the media stuff you see with Deer Hunter Synthetics. It feels good because Kevin's a friend of mine. Now, I don't know, we're working together. We both see eye to eye, and it's nice because in some of the projects, even with the gear company and the synthetic stuff, it's like he can be working when I'm not, and you've been around this space a lot. Like, it's always hard to find guys that are driven, motivated, and you yourself, we don't do this in full capacity by any means. So my man hours are a lot of time the Jocko hours, like 4 to 6:30, 7 a.m., and he does a little more stuff on the later end of the day. And I'm normally gassed out. Heck, we're doing this podcast 7 a.m. here on a Friday, just because I don't stay up late much anymore. But yeah, it's been awesome, and it's like fulfilling from a content creator, because you're like, yeah, I'm cutting up this like sizzle or reel or something for the website, and like it affects some income for my house, but like, it's like my badge is on that, my stamp of approval. So yeah, like, I don't know, it's been very cool to now like kind of partial ownership of some of this stuff.
Yeah, we're not there yet, but that's kind of like the same thing like we're doing with like the Roam. We're getting guys that are in the same like mind frame, and I feel like that's probably where you're at with like the Whitetail experience, like where those are your buddies, but they're not they don't have the same drive. Like, they love doing it, but you can tell that they give you the stuff and you got to do with it what you do. Yeah, to get people that like what you said there, when you see eye to eye and like you kind of have like the same vision, is pretty cool. Now, for you, how does that affect like your like hunting season? Like, make it more feel like work?
Does it make it feel more like work? Well, so I haven't gone through a full season as far as like that aspect. So I'm sure it'll be a juggling act. I'm sure, I don't know, but maybe it's going to be an awesome experience, I guess I've never really thought about, okay, how is this going to affect the deer season? But you're right, I am probably going to have to pull the camera out more. I'm going to have to get extra shots. There's some aspects there that are, because if I'm not creating the marketing material or media stuff, it's not like it's going to be flowing through in any other manner for that aspect.
I find that like incredibly hard to believe, because every time I talk to you, you are like I would say like the process guy. Like, you're like 10 steps ahead. You're like, I don't want to say like everything is like scheduled out, but you're like, I got to allocate for my PTO. Like, I want my ROI on every single thing to be, I want to maximize my ROI, whether it's like PTO, whether it's sleep, whether it's like the time frame, like whether it's what I'm going to do, if I'm going to hang a camera, if it's going to be this, if it's going to be that. So I find that interesting that this is the first time that you're thinking about how it's going to affect your season.
Yeah, I guess I've done some media work during season, but you're right. This is going to be the biggest lift, and obviously I'm helping with some of the fulfillment with Deer Hunter gear that's probably going to launch here in the next 2 weeks. But I'm also going to be home more. We just had our third kid, so yes, my hunting numbers are not going to be as good. I'm already looking at the 10-day, and I'm like, it's going to be 80 degrees for about the first week of season. I think I'm not going to be at least in a tree stand. Will I slip out and scout or maybe pull a card? I don't know. TBD.
Yes, I want to get to, like, the reason I wanted to talk to you is, like, there's, like, the venerable question that I don't think I'm struggling with because I don't think I really care. But, like, watching your content, like, over this past year, like, from last year till now, even up, like, leading up to, like, this very moment, you've basically only had that stick bow in your hand. So, like, now, are you a trad guy? I mean, that shirt you're wearing isn't flannel. And it is camo, so I don't think you've gone, like, fully felt, but...
Yeah. So I think I've got my parameters for the 2025 season, because I'm definitely not full stick bow guy. So what I think I'm going to do is, here in the home state, hunt with the stick. I do have an out-of-stater trip planned. I think I will take the compound. Here, more scouting has been done over the years, so maybe my setups are a little better. Heck, I got a water hole, and I've picked the cluster of trees that allowed that thing to be 12 yards away versus 22 yards away, just to comb that one out. And here I've got some trees that obviously over the last couple of years been scouting and thinking, oh, this is a little better for the stick bow. And I think once December hits, like, I'll probably pull the compound out for if I do any late season bow hunts. And I'm also, like, not afraid to pick up the boomstick. I'm got a 350 Legend now, so that's kind of a new firearm for me, and plan to do a little gun hunting. We obviously had the 2 broken seasons, and so yeah.
Yeah, for me, like, I was actually going to go into that bear hunt with, like, in my mind, I was thinking, like, well, I'll just use the stick bow because it's going to be kind of like canned, right? Like, you're going to know the distance, you're going to know, it's going to be
known yardage, known ambush point. You could comb things, yeah.
And then guys like I really respect said, how many bears have you killed? How many opportunities are you going to get? It's one. They said, like, it's one thing if it would be like a guided hunt where they're like, oh, these bears come in every day, blah 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 blah. We did it all ourselves, so I was like, yeah, probably better, walk that one back a little bit. And so I'm going to hunt a little bit with the stick bow this year. Same thing, out of state. When I go to Kansas, I'm going to bring the compound, and it's just simply because I think it's just like known. Like, I guess it's like more of like what I can control type scenarios. Now, I'm assuming for yourself, like, going down that road, you've consumed a lot of traditional archery content and you've asked a lot of questions and you've done that. Do you feel like the way that you're approaching it and kind of the way that, I'm more willy-nilly with it, there's a shift in, like, what traditional archery is, that it's not so cut and dried anymore?
Yeah, I guess. So, two things there. One, I watch a lot of, like, hunting style, ask a lot of hunting style questions when I talk to guys like Logan and yourself. The actual, like, archery nerdism, I'm going to call it, like, the more of that stuff I consume, the worse I shoot. So now I'm kind of like, hey, I know my golf swing, I know my jump shot. Like, I don't want to, like, try and shoot like somebody else or necessarily consume too much, like, archery style content, if you will. I'm proficient out to about 15, 17 yards, pretty good. Do I shoot 20s? Yes, but I should definitely not launch first arrow at probably something at 20, 22 yards. That's not ethical probably for me. So, yeah, as far as is traditional hunting, like, yeah, I don't think I've got to be in a flannel. I don't think I got to be out there in my moccasins. But I do like overall hunting, taking the step more primitive, just in general, obviously, I think there should be an aspect to we're taking place in this like caveman event that is primal and from the inside versus like, I don't know, make it more like a video game.
See, it's interesting that you say that about like, your jump shot, that sort of thing, because I feel 100% like that's the way that I shoot, and that's why I like it. But like over the winter, like I had read the newest, basically the only one that was available, Bobby Worthington book.
Mm-hmm.
And the first, I was reading it during like trying to do the 75 hard thing. And for that situation, I do not recommend it. Because the book is like a billboard and it's got really tiny words. So it took an hour to read 10 pages.
Oh, geez.
And the first 30 pages are all about traditional archery and like the mechanics of the shot. So it took forever to read, and it was very dry content.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times when all that, like, string walking and yada, 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 all that stuff, like I'm like you, I don't want any part of it. I just want to shoot my shot and whatever. But the one thing I was able to pull from that was when, like, sometimes like when you make a good shot, what a good shot feels like. And then sometimes you make like a shitty shot and you're just like, I feel like it's not, as long as you're not shooting at an animal, you're like, that's okay. Like, you're like, oh, dang it, I pulled that one or whatever, then you just make a better one. Well, what he does, or like the way that he explains it in there, is really, really good about starting to execute the release like with your shoulder blade. So instead of like releasing with your fingers or whatever, you start the release by like unlocking your shoulder, like deep in your shoulder blade. And so that is what I was able to take away from that, like from a traditional side, just kind of like bouncing off of like what you were saying about like not consuming any of the, I don't watch Olympic archery content to like try and like glean how to be a better archer, but I was reading that book for funnels and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was locked into having to read 30 pages and of the most dry, but he's state champion traditional archer, and he's a coach and all that other stuff. So I was able to get some good information out of that. But I always go back to Warren Womack, and I'll say that every day, 10 times a day, if someone asks me about like, how do you feel, or like, am I good enough? When we were asking everybody on the podcast, like, what's your bow setup? What's your arrows? The guy's killed 1,000 deer. He spent, X amount of hundreds or thousands of nights in his truck. Everything's documented. And he says, this is my bow. None of my arrows match. I can't outshoot them anyway. Like, perfect. That was enough to motivate me to be able to say, okay, I can do this, But the hard part is like that, the confidence, so where are you like within because I think that's why we will bounce back and forth, like why you don't want to go out of state with just the stick, right? Yeah. So where are you at with your confidence level?
Yeah, so I think what actually like really helped me is last year, this is morbid, I went out and shot some squirrels to try and figure out my process of killing animals, because I don't know, I had several learning points last year where one is I was waiting too late to draw and got busted a few times, where you can hold that 45-pound recurve even if it's 3 to 4 seconds, and I was kind of waiting until the last minute to draw. And then another experience I had was like, I feel like with the compound, I get back and I try to go through my checklist of bubble, grip, okay, pin on him, hold it, keep it, like, I almost stay, you don't want to go into autopilot. Well, with the stick, when I was shooting these squirrels, I killed the squirrels that all I thought about when they were walking in is kill him. Like, kill him, pick the spot, killing. Like, there wasn't any, oh, how's my anchors? Am I touching my lip? Am I got my nose back? How's my back tension? No, it was just pull that bow back, aim really small, and shoot him. Like, kill him. And so I think that gave me a little bit of confidence getting 2 or 3 successes in January with that thing. And now I've also built up a couple summers shooting a decent amount of arrows. I do not have the confidence to lob something out there 35 yards. You know, it's just I've kind of accepted, hey, my kill range is about 17, 18 yards and in. And as far as, like, the compound's just a more effective tool. Like, it's built to harvest those animals at inside 30 yards without much dollars in the setup, without much practice. It's got some things in play that make it a deadly weapon. And so, yeah, like, I'll grab that if I really do want to harvest, right? If I want to have a deer down in deer camp with my friends on an out-of-state trip, that's why I'm doing that. I kind of came to that conclusion recently. You had mentioned your dad, that, you know, you took it with the bear. Dude, if I go on a bear hunt, I'm taking a gun. I've never killed a bear. And I'm like, I've sure as shit seen deer run around with arrows in them from compounds. Give me the most effective thing, which is a gun. Because I want, at the end of the day, when I die, I'd like to have shot a couple bears. And so I think the gun's probably the best way to do that.
You know, that was really the funniest thing. Like, we took that bear, you know, you shoot the bear, and we, like, very ill prepared. Like, the damn thing was huge. Like, getting out of the woods was a terrible experience. Like, I can't believe if it was any bigger. Like, one of the bears that went into the processor, they said was 579 pounds. Like, I'd still be up there trying to get that thing out. And, you know, not fully understanding, and maybe somebody's listening to this and they know better about the rules in Michigan about, because you have to have them, like, able to be measured.
Yeah, you couldn't half butcher it in the woods to get it out like people do the whitetails, the quarter.
Yeah, it said intact to be able to be measured. So, and I've never seen pictures of Michigan bears in pieces. So, you know, that's just not something that they do. So, I mean, we just erred on the side of caution, because that's the thing too, is like, you shoot your first one and then they confiscate it because you cut it up, you know, that didn't want to do that. So, yeah, anyway, we didn't want to do that. Getting it out of the woods was terrible, but, like, I didn't want to shoot one with a gun, but you go to the processor. We took it to my dad's cousin who had a cooler in there. It was like people were just blown away that I shot it with a bow. Mm-hmm. And I was like, are people afraid of these things? And they're like, well, you know, sometimes they charge you and they can climb trees. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I understand that I had a pistol, but I mean, like, I was like, I called one into 40 yards on the ground while I was turkey hunting with just a bow, and I stood up and it ran away. Like, they don't want to eat you, I don't think. But up there, it just was not. It was not a normal thing. People were, like, almost like flabbergasted that was my method of take. So if I would have, you know, it would have been cool to shoot it with a traditional bow, but I think people would have lost their damn mind if I would have done that. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Valid.
But, you know, when I was asking, like, about the confidence, it wasn't, like, necessarily, I mean, you've killed a buck now with your traditional bow, and I think the funnest part of that for me was, you know, if we were to go back in, like, our text string of, like, this is what I'm waiting for, like, are you sure, like, absolutely, man, I just missed a doe, like, whiffed it, like, and then I think I got one, like, I don't, in the whole thing. And then the deer that you got and the video that you put out, and that you're, like, absolutely completely tickled with it. The confidence question, at least to me, is more on the lines of being able to get like the class of deer that you're more accustomed to shooting or chasing, and like kind of like the deer that you want to shoot out of state, and like getting that deer in close enough to be confident to shoot it. Like, I think that's where I struggle. So where are you at with like that process? Like,
yeah, I mean, so one, it was very refreshing to anytime I saw a rack in the woods, I was trying to kill it. Like, I didn't have to pull up the binos. Like, that to me was really fun. And then you kind of realize, despite having really close encounters and successfully, like, I shot a deer 3 foot off the ground at 7 yards with the compound. But that setup honestly wouldn't work with the stick bow. I was jammed into a beech tree the size of not much bigger than a Busch Light can as far as how big it was around. And I just was able to get that bow through like a bunch of branches. Like, I couldn't have done that with the stick. It would have been, I don't know, like much, yeah, that wouldn't have worked. But the confidence, like, you kind of like, okay, I think I'm also thinking big picture. In the next 10 years of hunting, if I take that stick bow, and a goal of mine would be to shoot, like, obviously, like, the Mount Everest is probably, like, a bigger rack buck in the big woods with a stick bow, like, and pack that thing out, right? Like, that's, to me, the top of the mountain in bow hunting success. And probably doing it a little more permanent. Maybe, like, limited intel, definitely no drone report coming my way. Like, that's the pinnacle of what I want to do. And, I also think that if I shoot a couple more deer with that stick bow, it's just such a rush that not every one of them's got to be a bigger, if you will. And I'm not talking giants. Let's just call it like, I don't need to hold out for something in that 120, 135 range. Will I try and shoot something maybe a touch bigger this year that's kind of got more of a frame? Sure. But that answer can change November 15th after, several rack bucks have skirted me at 25 yards. And, Mr. Very Small Rack comes into 15. Like, I think you also naturally pass a lot of deer with the stick because you set up different. You can't shoot very far. It's like, you're passing more deer than half these compound guys even give you credit for. And if you want the Mount Everest, you got to take the stick, in my opinion. So it may not be this year, and that's fine. And also, I got to kill a lot more deer with that thing because I'm not very good at killing deer with that thing, right? So I've got some doe setups in mind. That means I can't scout maybe as much in October as I normally do and actually, like, hunt. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. Is confidence. I got more confidence with that thing, especially in that 15, 12 yard range. And I've got some ambush points, a couple more years of scouting for the stick, or miles, I should say. So, yeah, confidence has only grown with that thing.
First of all, I got to say, like, the energy in that, like, statement right there, I mean, you're jazzed up on it. Your Busch Light can deer, when you say you shot him at 3 yards, like, part of me thinks if you were, and obviously this is me thinking from like a saddle perspective, is like, could you have been in the outside tree just around the side, and then just came around, because that's that the deer that gave me the confidence was that buck that I didn't shoot at because my rangefinder screwed me, but that was the same situation. I mean, I was on the ground, it was a bigger tree, but that was the only situation that I could have been in. But the enthusiasm with which you just delivered that is amazing. Now, hearing you say that and saying like, oh, the standards change as it goes and all this stuff, like, what do you think, and this is just fun to think about, like 2020 Byron would have said to that guy that just gave me that?
Yeah, like he wasn't thinking, he was never thinking he'd pick up a stick bow. He was just obsessed with the chase of getting better at shooting better bucks, if you will, especially like kind of the public land chase, the big woods chase. And yeah, he would have said, what are you doing, if you will? It's just, my thoughts have changed, and experiences matter a touch more now. Time with my friends matters a lot more. Last year I hunted with my buddies a touch more. And I think that's because, 2020 I was seeing my friends a touch more. And also I'd shot a few better bucks and was kind of climbing that ladder. And now it's kind of like, okay, well, what am I passionate about? I have no desire to pick up the compound today on a day I'm off from work and shoot arrows in the yard. It's like, pin hits target inside 40 yards. If I do my part, the bow should do it. So it can outshoot me. But man, that stick bow, it's kind of like playing golf, if you will. Like, there's always an addiction coming. There's always little areas to improve upon. There's not safety marks on it to make it happen.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to people, like, because really, and especially for, guys like myself, right? So the self-proclaimed, like, world's worst bow hunter. I'm not putting all my energy into seeking out and chasing the biggest bucks out there. So my wall looks different than guys who spend the same amount of time in the woods and things that I do. To say that, the bow hunting is hard enough than to be like, let's make it more difficult. But, if you really, boil it down, if you synthesize if you were to like be Mr. Spreadsheet guy, and you were to take every single deer that you've ever killed with a compound, and you said, okay, what's the average of the distance that I shot him at? You're going to be in that 10 to 15 yard range. I mean,
I don't think I am.
No?
No, I think a lot of, like, I would just, if I had to ballpark it, I think a lot of mine are 20-ish. They're definitely not, definitely not, I can't remember a lot of deer dying with a 30-yard pin on them. But I think a lot of them are in that 20. So I have to get like 5 yards better.
Okay. Well, but so maybe that's the thing though. Your deer are bigger, right? So like most of the deer that I've killed are, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like absolutely. And maybe I let them come in too far. Maybe, you think back on the first deer that I ever shot at, it was too far away at 15 and I missed it shooting absolutely 100% straight down, leaned out at the tip of my safety harness at 12 years old. So maybe we have a different depth perception of like what close is.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to shift gears here because one of the things that you guys are dealing with down there is the EHD, and that's a big talk of Ohio. We had a lot of that come through. It's been a thing in Michigan here, periodically as it is, I guess kind of like everywhere. But right where we live here in Michigan, it went through last year. So, you're a little bit, I would say, like northern Ohio. Like I think they're seeing it more like in the south. But how is that affecting like your season, your outlook?
Yeah, so we had it pretty bad in 2022. And I remember Dave talking to the farmer, and he goes, yeah, I found 100 dead deer in this ditch. And Dave and I were like, dude, we didn't think there was 100 dead deer in that whole forest. Like, it was crazy. How's it affecting me? So I've done a little bit of like walking to verify no dead stench in the air. I've texted a few people that I know are in the area on 2 places. I have 2 places to still check, and it'll be one place that I won't even go, like abandoned ship. Not even, you're gonna waste $40 in gas and a day of your time. So yeah, that's like something I want to get knocked out by like October 15th is like, I haven't been in the woods a ton in the last 2 weeks, but I'll probably do a little pre-dawn walkabout, maybe check a card, walk a creek bank to verify place, let's just call it B on my list, isn't there. If I didn't have the third baby, I would have gone to all of them and done this already, but I just limited time as far as that's concerned right now.
And so what's your pivot? So like
at least I have we've been doing this since we were mid-20s, like having like 3 to 5 public pieces, different counties, and that's a huge blessing. And so yeah, like I will check a couple of those spots, and if one of them's bad, you pray that number 2 is good. Now if my top 3 are all smoked, and obviously we don't get a hard frost, so like maybe my top 4 or 5 could be smoked this year, you got to keep pivoting. And I guess if that were the case, I would go to maybe a new place. But as of now, I have confirmed 2 of the 5 that I like to go to are okay-ish. And I've got to check 2 here before October 10th to really know.
Now, when that happens, like, do you find any positives in it? So, and I say that like for a couple of reasons. Like one being less out of state pressure, and then second, like here, what has happened generally speaking is 2 to 3 years later, it gets really good because the deer that have lived were like the better genes or something like that. And at least that's what, the guys that have been really affected by it here and hunt those areas have told me, like around here.
Yeah, I personally haven't seen that happen as much. And just because, like, I like to see deer, and we hunt areas where maybe the population isn't the best. So it's kind of like when that does happen, it does suck. And I know they say 2 to 3. I think it's probably more like 5 to kind of get to numbers that are a touch better, if you will. And I remember 2022, I put a self-imposed no doe kill on myself, especially on one of the places. I just didn't think that was right to, the population just got, decimated. Don't go pulling a trigger on a doe. The DNR is actually looking for the first time ever to step in and adjust some regulations on doe harvest in those mega counties that are blasted. But that effect wouldn't happen until December 1, which, dude, I don't know, if you punch some doe tags, I would say a lot of does have been shot by December 1, potentially. But I know this is the first time they've done that, and I think states like Indiana are much more apt to step in. Ohio's not as quick to act, it seems.
I think that December 1 thing, the only thing that would be good is like any of those does that are bred, you're not killing any, pregnant does at that point. Like if they made it through and they got, that's like the biggest, that would be like a triple kick in the dick. Like the deer like actually survived EHD. They were able to get bred. They made it through essentially. They're almost to the end of season, and then they get whacked like that. I guess that's maybe the silver lining in that time frame.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't think about that, and I don't know when our gun season kicks off, but if that might be before it. It depends when Thanksgiving is this year.
Well, that would be before the muzzleloader season, I think. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely before our second gun season, and definitely before the muzzleloader. But depending when Thanksgiving is, I should know our gun season dates. Jamie, look that up for me.
That tells how much of a bow hunter you are, then, just simply because you're like, oh, I don't even know when gun season. But you guys have like a 2-day gun season or something, right?
Yeah, so we have like a full week in early December most of the time. So Ohio's deer gun season is the December 1 through the 7th this year. That's our full week, and then obviously we got the extra weekend around 20th through the 21st. So yeah, okay. At least they put it in before the firearms, because I do bet that's when a lot of deer get blasted.
Yeah, yeah. So that makes a little bit of sense. So I can see that. But like I said, I just wondered like how that affected you, because I know that that's like all the talk. I mean, it always is, because especially those southern counties, it seems like that's where everybody wants to go hunt, Ohio. But it has to, like, you know, greatly decrease the amount of out-of-state pressure that you guys see.
Yeah, yeah. I hope this year we see less of the Pennsylvania guys, since they can hunt Sundays. So maybe that's a slight win.
Now, you said you got an out-of-state trip going now. What's your plans for that?
Yeah, so I got to schedule a little bit shifted. I was going to go somewhere for a firearm opener, but now I think I'm going to go and probably that second week of November, and I'm going to hunt with Kevin, and I'm looking forward to higher deer numbers. And as far as what I'm looking for on that trip, man, I think just rack buck. I'd like to shoot one and have beers in camp and experience a true deer camp, if you will.
Now, have you ever had that? Like, for you, has it always been about the kill? Has it always been about like chasing an animal and not like, I mean, I understand that it's like the whitetail experience, but have you like, so it sounds weird to be like, have you ever like been there for the experience itself and not just the deer?
Yeah. And I love just being outside. Like I love the hunt. I love having a tag in the pocket and having the sun come up and being like, dude, what's coming over the hill? Like those kind of feelings are why I hunt. As far as like the deer camp. So when I first started hunting, full disclosure, dude, I had the Rolls Royce entry where a guy had 120 acres in one of the best counties in Ohio with a cabin with like 3 bunks, and it was, dude, it had good deer numbers. It had decent buck quality. We didn't know what we were doing, but it was deer camp. 4-wheelers, 4-wheeler pass, like big wooded timber. It was awesome. And then when I went to college, that's when I kind of started doing the public land thing, because I couldn't, get to that camp, and my buddy went away to college, and so I was like, can I go hunt with your dad at his sweet camp? Like, it just didn't work. And I was, dude, I think I hunt because I generally, I love the outdoors, and I love the pursuit, the primitive kind of one-on-one with a deer, figuring things out. And the deer camper buddy aspect, camaraderie, that really hasn't come in until like probably second half of my 20s, where you realize your time with your friends is only going down, and so that's becoming a bigger priority. And when you get with the guys and like there is something that just is, you laugh more, you got better morale for almost weeks, and so I value that much more now than I did 5-7 years ago. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, and we started doing obviously our shed camp, which was more of a, hey, go scout, then come back, drink beers, play cornhole. And we realized how much fun that was, and cooking around a fire. And last year we did a little more of a deer camp. We've always done like maybe 2 days or like an overnight, but like this was like, it's a bigger, much, much bigger priority now.
So one thing that I'll ask you, and maybe you had it a little bit when you had that camp with the 3 bunks and the couple guys and the 120 acres, but so when you go hunt with your camp and it's like you and Dave or like you and Andy or like whatever, when you've got your guys in camp, are you guys generally in the same truck, hunting the same areas?
I would say Dave and Andy are far more likely to either go sit in the same tree or drive together. Zoe and I occasionally will meet either in different parking lots, because we're all coming from different locations for the most part. And I don't necessarily hunt with Dave as much because like him and his friends had kind of figured out like I'm just going a piece of A. And I don't want to feel like I was ever like intruding or like, riding the coattails. And so like I sometimes will hunt, let's call it an hour away, or 30 minutes away, or 20 minutes away. And I also, like, out of our crew, I kind of like the big woods a touch more than those guys sometimes.
Yeah. Well, what I'm getting at is, like, a lot of times when you go on a smaller group of guys, like out of state trip, like if you're 2-3 guys out of state, generally you're in 1 or 2 trucks hunting the same kind of area. When you're in a bigger camp like that, we'll say more than 5 guys or more, it's usually multiple guys branching out. And my favorite part, because our camps used to be, like when I was a kid, 13, 12, 11 guys. I mean, I think we've got 11 bunks, and we would fill those. We'd fill the couch. We'd have a trailer outside, and people would be sleeping in the trailer. So people would be spread out over our property. There'd be people driving to other places and whatnot. But the thing that I loved about it, and why I'm asking the question, is because all those laughs, all those memories, all those everythings are, you're right, it's infectious, and you're riding that for the longest time. But one thing that I think that you get with a big camp like that is that, at least that I grew up on, is that the hunt was never over until the last guy got back. And so if you're in the same truck, like, or you guys are sitting 100 yards from each other, you know that feeling when that light comes and you're like, did you see anything? Like, what's going on? Like, it's a little bit different now. Like if you got service and you can text or whatever, but you're always waiting. There's that anticipation, right? Of like, and especially like if you're on a bigger property and you hear a shot and you're not exactly sure if that was on your property or like whatever, if that was your buddy, especially with gun season and Michigan gun season. If you've not experienced it, and especially like if you were going to be here for the opener, like there's going to be shots everywhere, and you're going to be like, I think that was him, and I think that was him. Like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? But the thing is that the hunt's never over until everybody's back from camp, and then it's like, hell yeah, like that's when the real excitement begins, So that's why I was asking, like, that camp experience, because that to me is what I grew up with. That's what drives me to do our camp and what we do now still. Yeah.
I think that's a little bit of a Michigan hunting culture versus Ohio. Ohio's just not as much into the outdoors and hunting as some of the other Midwest states are. I think at that cabin there was only 5 of us at a given time max. Might be 3 generations. At one time Corey brought his grandpa, and that was cool. Right, 3 generations, his dad and me and Corey being the young guns. But now, like, I think our average shed or deer camp might have 7 or 8 guys. But yeah, it is cool. I did turkey camp this year, and I remember saying, like, as a team, what's our percent chance, of getting a bird? And Kevin thought I just meant him. I said, no, the whole camp, right? Because if somebody shoots one, we all did. Like, there's an aspect there.
Yeah, and and again, maybe Ohio isn't this way, but like there's guys like, and I was talking about it with Joe when we were up bear hunting, and he was like, yeah, my father-in-law, he would go, I think it was his father-in-law, would go up and hunt, like go up to camp and wouldn't bring a gun. He would just go up there and play cards and all that stuff because, I think it is like, if somebody at camp shoots a big buck, like, well, our camp got one, like we got one, like, no, I didn't see anything, but like he did, like, go talk to him. Like, we got one, our camp shot 10, like whatever, like, and there's guys that, there's all the, the old wives' tales or whatever. And I guess it would be like a real wives' tale of like guys that go up, it's like the oldest thing going, like guy tells his wife to give him a bunch of extra money to go to deer camp, and he goes up there and comes back and says, I had to take more money out because you didn't send up any more money. Like, I don't know why you didn't give it to me. And she says, well, I put it in your gun case. Like, well, so, like you said, you were going hunting. Like, guys just would go up to camp, and, my middle brother's one of them. Like, he's there to get away from work. He's not there to hunt. Like, it's just, that's the camp aspect of it. So, you saying like, oh, I want to shoot a rack buck, I want to do this. We had a guy come to our Patreon camp, and he was going to kill every deer that was in Michigan, and I think he sat 2 sits and laughed more than he ever laughed and had so much fun. And he got home and his wife said, did you shoot any deer? And he's like, I didn't even see a deer. And she's like, well, were you disappointed? You drove all the way up from Tennessee? And he said, it was the best time that I've spent. And, it was like, just like a reset, and I think you're like return on investment. Like, again, like for a guy like yourself, you're always thinking of, at least I think of you as like return on investment, like that, like cleansing of the soul type thing is kind of hard to put a price on. Right.
Yeah.
So does that change anything when you say like, oh, I want to go and just shoot a rack buck? I mean, is that like the only goal?
Yeah, I mean, well, I know the other stuff's going to happen. Like, I know the good times are going to have good food, laughs. Like, that's just a given. But, like, I thought your follow-up question to that would be, like, do your standards drop? And I'm like, dude, if it's, I think it's APR land, so you got to have, 3 on one side? Dude, He could have 3 like this, and I'm sending it this year, like, on that trip. Like, I need deer meat. I value that a little bit with grocery prices over the last 5 years just skyrocketing. Feeding 3 kids now. Shit. But yeah, and maybe it's because I'm like, dude, I know if that arrow goes through him and we find him, the next 2 hours, we're living on a high like you wouldn't believe.
What's funny about that is, like, it's just something that just, like, popped into my head, but you're like, if it just has this many, is it like when you, like, literally when you go past that blue sign and it says, like, welcome to Michigan, like you just automatically, that becomes like, okay, because everybody gives Michigan shit because it's like, oh, they just shoot the first thing that's like this, and like if that was Kansas or Iowa or something like that, you'd be like, no, absolutely not.
Oh, I think if I was going to a neighboring state like Kentucky or Indiana or West Virginia, I think I might still have that same complex if I knew, hey, we're there for 5 days and we're just trying to shoot anything, like, and just, I think I might be a little more to chase big bucks here in the home state potentially in a given year. But yeah, I kind of don't think that standard is because I'm in Michigan. I think it's more like I got the chance to do deer camp. I got the chance to celebrate with the boys if we get one. And my mindset's just changed. Like, dude, I only got 30 deer camps left. I didn't shoot enough deer in my mid-20s because I was like, oh, I'm passive. What was I doing? So I'm making up for lost time a little bit too. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's more like I see how much fun we could have in the next 2 hours shooting a dink, shooting a doe. Fluffs might still get a pass, but they're also easy to get out the woods. But yeah, I think that's more of what I see, if you will.
So now, do you think that it's? I guess it's much like the trad thing. Like, do you see the narrative shifting, like to more like the fun and the experience versus like the purity or the dick measuring contest? I guess this for the rack and all that.
I think individually, as people might chase experience to touch more, but I think as I'm going to call it the industry, I still think big bucks dominate, right? Like, big bucks are cool. They're not as rare as they used to be, but I think if, a photo, a video, if you're talking about a big buck, it's probably going to get more likes than the one that's a dinker. And I kind of understand that. I get that.
So from that, like, mindset or narrative, like when you just said that big bucks aren't as big as they used to be, I would almost change or like challenge the fact that, like, I think that having fun and enjoying camp with your buddies is more rare than big bucks at this point.
You know, that might be true. That might be true as far as like, yeah, I said big bucks aren't as rare as they used to be. And yeah, but that's probably true overall. Like, right, if we look at the hunting space in a bell curve, the deer camps have already peaked. We're on the way down because why is that? Well, the other curve of everyone who wanted to shoot big bucks is in that upward trend. And yeah, that's where we are right now. We're on the downtrend of good times and hanging with your buddies and deer camp, and we're on the trend of I just want to shoot big bucks. I would say that's where a majority of, especially the younger half of the industry and consumers are.
Well, but I mean, think about that. Like, even, 5-7 years ago, like, think about where that like dino chart intersects, right? Mm. Like having fun in deer camps and big bucks, right? Personally, that big buck, and when you're talking about like a bigger, like giant class buck, and maybe the only ones that are doing it differently, and maybe I'm biased, maybe you've got another answer that can like challenge this, but like the guys with Latitude, like, because Alex is doing it but regularly, that buck that Corey and Lane shot, like you can't tell me those guys weren't having fun with their friends. Like, you can't tell me that, right? But for the longest time, like, chasing those big bucks was a very secretive and like solo venture. Like, it was all trail cams, cell cams. We're not talking about it. You only show these pictures to people who aren't going to show them to anybody, and there's only a select few people who knew about these deer. You weren't going out and just finding sign and killing them, or that wasn't commonplace, I would say. And I think that that's maybe why the deer camps went down and the big bucks went up,
100%.
Because we went inward and said, well, I got to do this by myself. I can't tell anybody, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. I think that's 100% where we're at. Like, I don't think the majority of people are, three guys, everybody's trying to work together, shoot big bucks. I think it's a lot of individualized. Just look how many guys don't invite people onto their property as much, right? Like, it's kind of just the thing, But yeah, I think that's where we are, and it parallels a lot to golf too. Like, guys trying to shoot a low score, he's kind of worried about his mission, his swing. But there's also still the guys that, hey, I just want to go out and get a cart and drink a few beers and be gone for 4 hours today.
It's funny about all of this. You keep talking about golf. Like, when I met my father-in-law, and I was first like getting to know him, we were golfing, and we were about like 2 holes in, and he said, I know you're going to be a good bow hunter. I said, he's like, I know you're good. You're going to be good with a bow. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, well, it's just about consistency. It's like, it's all the same stuff. Like, you just got to do the same thing every time. And, but I have a brother-in-law who doesn't hunt at all, doesn't care for it. But you talk about playing guitar, playing golf. He does those 2 things. I'm like, I play guitar a little bit, poorly, played golf a little while, hunt. But these are all like individual kind of things. And it's all, I can say like, I don't play guitar, but like, if you absolutely can't tune a guitar, you're like, oh my God, you're really good at guitar. And I'm like, I'm not good at all. He's really good at golf to me, but he's not good compared to someone on the pro tour. And it's all, well, I'm the world's worst bow hunter, but to someone just picking it up, they're like, oh my God, this guy, he killed 2 deer with a traditional bow, and he shot at 19 of them or whatever last year. Like, this is nuts. So I think it's just like all relative. And I think we keep looking at these different, I think the benchmark keeps changing, and with the more and more big deer, I think it's just because we have more information more readily accessible. You know, like all the guys, you know, that they talk about, like, oh, they just got sheds full of racks that they're just cut off. Like these guys were killing those deer back in the day just as much as they were. Just nobody talked about it or whatever.
Yeah, I think some of that's true, and then obviously, yeah, spread of information. But we're much more effective at killing a better racked buck these days than we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Maybe, but it's so weird. I would love to see like a Harvard study or something on that. Because
my outfitting buddy, he's gone up 35% since the tail cam.
Well, but if you can say that, right? But if you talk to like an old timer, and I love the meme because I'm that meme now. Like I've officially reached the age where I can say, like, I remember when that used to be woods, right? Like there used to be a lot more open woods. There used to be more range for these deer. Granted, there used to be more hunters, but was there more deer? Were there, there were, at least back, like for these old timers, there were less bow hunters. Like bow hunting, I think, has really taken off. The advent of like the crossbow has, I guess, the technology, at least in the last maybe 10 years, has been incredible. So that goes back to like, yes, we're a lot more efficient at doing it, but like, pressure just from houses and population, those sorts of things. It would be really interesting to see like that side of it,
Oh yeah, 100%. I think there's less like I'm just going to say giants, because the ability for your average Joe to kill like a good buck or like a rack good buck is so much better now than what it used to be. Because think about it, like I think to have like maximum big deer on the landscape, I had an interesting conversation with a guy. It's like, dude, if you wanted the most amount of big bucks on the landscape, you make everything super hard to kill them, so everybody would be running around with a stick bow and a firearm season that fell in December in a 1-buck state. And he's like, you know how many big bucks there would be? Like, it's kind of a funny thing to think about, right? Like,
so I think about that like almost like not necessarily inversely, but somewhat. Like if you want to talk about like some of the bigger bucks, and I'm not talking like these like record book bucks, right? Like, so the record book bucks, most of them are, I mean, I guess like that latest one, the Indiana one where the guy killed it with a crossbow, the Lucky Buck one. I can't think of the guy's name, but it was just a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. It was like number 2 or something like that. But I automatically go to like seek one, right? Like these urban deer are kind of like what you're talking about. Like they're really hard to kill, and they're
no. You cannot say urban deer are hard to kill.
No. What I mean is hard to kill because of access.
Sure.
Because these deer know where to go to live, and they just stay there, and they're just not accessible.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. And I've never tried to kill one, so I don't know that.
So,
I mean, I understand like out in DC or whatever, where they're just going in and they're just killing them and next to the bus stop. I get that, but I'm talking about like the bigger deer. In Metro Detroit, they've got pictures of all these big deer, that are just wandering around, but they're just not accessible. They're just not able to be hunted. And that's what So same thing as you're saying, you make them very difficult to hunt.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, the urban deer thing's interesting because Dave jokes if he had ninja stars on his job. Dave works for the city. He works in the parks and rec. Dave says, "Give me a pack of Ninja Stars. I got 3 150s every year." Like, he sends, anyone who wants some clip hits, dude. Dave will like get 6 yards from a doe and she won't even care. I think he touched one. He had like a 140. Just turn, look at his truck, and like not even care. So yeah, the urban deer thing is just like, I don't know. I get that. Are they hard to kill? I don't know. I vow their detection system is way weird compared to like your average whitetail that's in the bigger landscapes and has like some defense mechanisms.
Difficult to legally harvest?
Maybe that's the right verbiage.
But I mean, it seems like he needs like that Tim Wells like cold steel blowgun.
Yeah.
Like Ninja Stars, maybe it's too fast a movement, but
yeah, the blowgun, with the broadhead that's what, like half an inch or whatever.
I mean, heck, some of those 7/8 inch broadheads aren't that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're shooting them, and if he's 6 feet from him, I mean, you can get pretty precise, I would have to think.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your buddy. That's a guide. We talked earlier, and I said, we'll just wait for the podcast. We were talking a little bit about my bear hunt and bear hunting. You said like someday that you would like to do that you'd go up there and kind of take him up on that. So
yeah, he lives around the corner from me. We shoot bows at his house in the summer. If anybody's kind of seen some content where you're like, oh, that's a pretty sweet backyard range. Shannon's his name. I don't know. He does some outfitting up there, and I think he started as a client and kind of took it over. And they kill some good ones up in Canada. I don't even know where the base camp truly is. But I told him, I was like, look, if I'm coming, I've killed 0 bears. I'd like to bring a gun. I just want that insurance policy.
Now, like what makes you like want to use? You just want to make sure that you're going to kill him, like that it's going to die like immediately, right?
Yeah, I mean, just like the success rate of, if I see a bear at 40 yards and I've got my 350 Legend with a like 1 to 6 on the top, like I like my chances. I like the fact when a bullet hits something, like it does more damage than just like your arrow going through and you're trying to bleed them out in the vitals, right? Like that's why, because like, dude, like I'm not gonna go and do this every year. Like this is like a once every 10-year, 5-year thing for me. And if I shoot one and then want to pick up the bow, sure, I'll do that. But like I kind of like to get one.
I can see that. So this is a question that I was posed and I was not necessarily ready for. So when you shoot your bear, what are you gonna do with it?
As far as
mount.
Yeah. One, I need to look at my financial situation. I don't know if definitely the bear skull, right? Like you got to have the bear skull on the desk. I don't know if what other options beyond that as far as like a cape or like a cool shoulder mount or shoulder mount, whatever they call a bear mount. Dude, Shannon's house, he has the coolest taxidermy I've ever seen. This is worth talking about. So there's a half a rock. He's got this big vaulted ceiling, and it's coming downward, and this black bear is like climbing down this rock at you because he's obviously angled downward, and he's up high on the wall. Coolest piece of taxidermy I've ever seen. But I don't see myself forking out like $2,000 for something like that. I just
probably about $4 or $5 for that.
Yeah, I ain't got that cash.
Yeah.
But definitely a bear skull for sure. I'd love to eat some of the meat. Obviously, you got to be careful with the trichinosis aspect. Did you have you had your bear meat yet? And what's it taste like?
Okay, no. I took it to the processor, and my bear was number 66, I think that they had. And so they were like a week and a half. And so my dad is still up there. He took his bear in. And they said week and a half, so he's still up there just waiting for him to be done. But why I asked that is because like I've seen a lot of really poorly done bear mounts, like where it's like a bear head and then they got the arms out for like a gun mount, and like I've seen him like climbing out of the things, and I don't know, it's just not my style at all. And my grandpa had a bearskin rug, and it had a red felt on the sides of it, and I didn't really care for the red felt, so that just kind of like turned me off on it. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to get it the hide tanned, and then I want the skull. Like, that's what I wanted. And so I shoot the thing, and you know, my wife, her dad's Grizzly Adams, right? But she doesn't really hunt. She doesn't really care one way or the other. But I think she's coming around to, like, you know, when I get mounts done or whatever, she's just like, great, where are we going to put that? Like, what's going to go on? Like, oh, put it in the basement. Well, my daughter shot her deer in this, had a Euro mount done. It's on a little stand. She brought it up, set it in the living room to show her friend, and then it just never made it back downstairs. And she goes, well, it's kind of growing on me. So now it's sitting underneath the TV. And she's like, I like that. So I'm talking to my wife on the phone, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to get it tanned and get the thing. And she's like, well, you're not getting a rug? And I was like, a rug? And she's like, well, you know, you shot a bear. I don't think you'd ever be like disappointed if you got a rug. And I was like, those are the last words that I thought would ever come out of your mouth. But I said, okay, we're getting a rug. So we're going to get a rug. It's going to go, I think we're just going to hang it on the wall because it's going to be too damn big for anywhere.
Yeah. That would be cool. Like, I do like, you know, when they're spread out against the wall. I don't know how much those are, but yeah, those are cool. Like, that would be like if I had some cash. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and what's funny is I was like, I wish I would have, because like trying to find a place for one on the floor is like, you need 8 feet or bigger.
Yeah.
I was like, I wish I would have shot like a really small bear. I'd have just put it like right outside of the shower. Like, so every day you get outside, you know, like, but no, so that, but I am going to get the skull. Cause I'm like, you have to get the skull. Like,
yeah, it's too cool. It's
just a given. Yeah. You know, and the same thing, my mother-in-law, she's like, Frank shot you talk about money. You're like, oh, money. You know, my father-in-law, he shot one up in Maine, and he was going to have a rug done. And then driving back, the transmission went out in the truck. So he only has the skull and no hide, no nothing. And she's like, look at that little skull. There's nothing up there. You know, that was a big bear, just little tiny skull. That's all we got. Like, so you need a rug. So that's what we're getting. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of catch up with you and kind of, like I said, I see you, all the content is you and the trad bow. So I just did, but no flannel, you know, no Stormy Cromer. So I didn't know if you were, you know, really had fallen off the edge or what was going on.
I honestly think it's just because, like, one, I got to shoot it to, like, stay with it. And then it's way more fun, dude. Like, I shoot the compound as a checklist item. And, you know, my son and daughter are both got these little Bear 5-pounder, I don't know, wheel compoundy things. And, dude, they're launching arrows. And Dad's arrow out of the compound don't look like theirs, right? Like, that bow is loud, it's fast, it doesn't look like theirs. But I picked that stick bow up, and we're all shooting at 5 yards at my doe target. And then Dad'll step back to 15. Yeah, dude, I much more enjoy that thing just for fun.
Yeah, it's funny. I was shooting, getting ready for the bear hunt, and my daughter. So we during the winter we've got leagues, and Sunday night is the trad league, and my daughter she goes there, she shoots with us, and she's like, Dad, when does Sunday shooting start again? And I was like, well, we can go shoot whenever. And she's like, no. And this is really the best part. She goes, I like shooting when everybody's there, you know, like she likes the camaraderie aspect of it, you know, and I just think that's great. So I think it's great that you're out there, you know, shooting with your kids and getting them into it. And you're right that shooting, like being able to, I guess it's like probably the wrong way to say it, but like bring it down to their level, like not make it intimidating. I think definitely definitely helps. And I will say, so my father-in-law, he's out in Colorado right now, and he's basically having the best hunt of his life. And he only has the stick bow. And he was covered up in mule deer last night or the night before. He had like 20 mule deer all the way around him. He had this really nice, I can't tell how many points are on it, but it's like a 4x4 or 5x5 mule deer at 20 yards. And he couldn't get drawn because there was too many mule deer, but he only has a stick bow. Like, that's all he brought. And he got walked out of the woods by 6 bears, a mom and 3 cubs, and then 3 other bears. So he's in them.
Oh man, he'll remember that forever. That's awesome.
Yeah, or he may never make it back. So we'll remember it as his last hunt. But man, I really appreciate you getting up early, taking some time away from the kids, away from daddy daycare to chat with me. So with all the stuff that you're doing with Deer Hunter Synthetics, Deer Hunter Podcast, and Whitetail Experience, where can people check out all of your new ventures? Yeah,
I would say the YouTube for Whitetail Experience kind of has some variety of content. Deer Hunter Podcast, I do like a monthly step in there and kind of co-host with Kevin. And then for other content, Deer Hunter Synthetics, we do the mock scrape kit systems there, and getting ready here in about 2 weeks to launch Deer Hunter Gear, which is kind of a USA-made camo company. Powered by WSI, obviously. Those guys work with the NFL, so they make some really badass stuff. But you'll be seeing more of that here in about 2 weeks.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Bow hunting all comes down to a moment. And in the moment, you want equipment on your bow that will get the job done. Trophy Ridge products are the tools bow hunters trust. React Technology sights, rests, stabilizers, and quivers to help a bow hunter be successful in the field. And those tools are from Trophy Ridge.
Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.